What is up, guys? My name is Jauz, and you are about to tune into another brand new episode of In the Tank, my podcast where I bring on my friends from music and also outside of music to talk about what's going on in our lives, what's going on in the world, and most importantly, bring you some cool life lessons, information that you can use to better your life in either a small way or maybe a big way every single day. My guest on the podcast today is none other than one of my favorite musical artists and also someone that I've had the honor of working with through my label, Bite This. He happens to be the drummer of arguably my favorite band of all time, Sum 41. He also happens to be the creator of what could be the biggest drumming group on the planet, known as Street Drum Corps. And he just put out an EP on my label. Like I said, his name is Frank Zummo. He's an absolute legend. And because he put out his, first real foray into being his own solo artist and also being in the electronic space, I thought it would be really cool to bring him on the podcast and talk to him about his life leading up to, making his mark as a solo artist. We talk about how he ended up starting Street Drum Corps, how he ended up filling in for Motley Crue, and how he ended up touring with Sum 41 for the past 5 years. It's a really, really awesome interview. Frank is the man. He's absolutely the man. I think everyone can gain a ton of wisdom just from listening to the guy talk. I had a great time chatting with him. I love his EP. It's called It's My War. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's available everywhere that you can listen to music. You should probably go give it a listen. But first, why don't you listen to or watch, if you're on YouTube right now, a conversation between me and Frank. Also, in case you're brand new here, don't forget, every Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific time is when In the Tank is recorded live, just like this episode that you're about to listen to or watch right now. That happens on my Twitch account, which is twitch.tv/JawzOfficial. That's JAUZ official. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific. You should probably come hang out. It's a bunch of fun. But until then, why don't we get into the episode? This is me and Frank Zummo on In the Tank. Let's get into it. There he is. Everyone say hello to the one, the only Frank Zummo.
What is up, everybody?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, dude. And I was just listening in and you're talking about your birthday. What's crazy is I was your birthday present last year. How fucking crazy is that?
Yo, that's so true. Wow. Literally, what a fucking segue into the beginning of the podcast, dude. You're killing it, bro.
Can you tell that story? It's so
good. Yes.
And your amazing wife. Let's just start with that because that was the gift.
Yes. Hold on. I just lost you on the stream. Let me get your face back in here before I get into it. I tried to minimize you. God, I'm so bad at this stuff sometimes. Normally, I kill it. Hold on. We're going to get it back in 2 seconds here. There he is. Look at that face. All right, beautiful. All right, so, yeah, a little bit of a backstory here, chat. So, last year on my birthday, it was actually a couple months after my birthday, I think. Joanne had said that she had a surprise for my birthday, but it wasn't going to be for a couple weeks, which ironically actually kind of happened this year, which is what I was just talking about. But last year was a little bit longer. And one day Joanne was like, hey, like, you don't have any plans on Wednesday, right? And I was like, why would I have fucking plans on Wednesday? Like, I never have plans. Like, if I was going somewhere, you would know. And she's like, all right, cool. And I was like, why? Are we like going to dinner or something? She's like, yeah, like a birthday surprise. Get to Wednesday. Joanne puts me in the car with a blindfold on, drives me through LA. I have no idea where I'm going. And all of a sudden we start parking and I smell like beer and I hear like really loud rock music. And I'm like, yo, are we at is there like a festival going on in LA that I didn't know about? Like, where the fuck are we? And Joanne literally dragged me through the entirety of the Palladium with a blindfold on. with a fucking blindfold on. I had no idea that Sum 41 was playing that night. And finally, like, we get into the venue, and I pull off my thing. I'm like, where is this, the Palladium? What the fuck are we doing? She's like, yeah, it's a Sum 41 show. And I was like, yo, that is the sickest birthday present ever. And long story short, even though it's already been long, we end up going backstage because Keizo's there and he knows the band. And John, his manager, introduces me to this guy right here, Frank Zummo. I meet him, we talk for a bit, and I was like, yeah, that was cool, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I get an email from a Frank Zummo, and he's like, yo, dude, like, I make music, and I want to put it out on your label, and now we're here. So I'm going to shut up now. Frank, I kind of want you to talk about, like, you know, maybe for the people, regardless if they're watching on Twitch or not, because, you know, In the Tank as a podcast is going to be all over the world. So there's a chance that someone who listens to this might have no idea who you are. I would find it hard to believe, but just give us a little, like a, you know, like a, what's it called? You know what I mean? Like the one-liner on like a resume. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I'm born and raised in Long Island, New York. And I moved to Los Angeles 16 years ago to chase a dream of, you know, being in bands and touring the world, and everything that I was attracted to and I loved was in Los Angeles. And I was like, yo, I'm going to give this 1 year and then reevaluate at the end of the year and just go as hard as I possibly can go and try to stay here. And I literally just went out here, my manager got me a gig in a band out here. And I came out here and the band just fell apart. And
what a shock.
You know, it's typical story of just, you know, you showcase at the Viper Room and you don't get a record deal and the band gets discouraged and breaks up. And I was just like, okay, well, this isn't going to break me. Like, you know, it wasn't my band anyway. I just got a gig to be in this band. And I literally met brothers who they were from the East Coast. We hit it off. And they had their own drum show. And I had been doing like percussion, crazy, like stomp, Blue Man Group type shows in the East Coast. And I was like, that's a crazy coincidence that we're all from the East Coast. You play on Found Objects and have a percussion show. So do I. Like, we should get together and do something. And we literally went to a junkyard in downtown Los Angeles and went fucking wild for an hour, filmed it, and then just started sending it around, not thinking anything would happen. Like, I knew the theme park world. My partner, he was in a rad punk rock band called Stun, and he knew like the Warped Tour world and all the bands. So we just kind of sent it out, not thinking anything would happen. And we literally got a residency at Six Flags Magic Mountain theme park. And then we got offered to go on tour with, crazy. And then we got offered to go on tour with the Used and to go on the Warped Tour. And then the owner of the Warped Tour gave us a record deal. Like, it just happening, which is such a cool story of coming out here, because it's all about, you have to do something different to stick out here, unless you just get lucky to, you know, get in one of those magical Guns N' Roses bands or something like that, which is very far, you know, and few. So that was kind of the way to stand out here and, you know, make some shit happen differently. And we toured the world, man. We wound up, Jimmy Iovine and Interscope Records wound up giving us like an insane record deal, 360 deal, and we toured the world with 30 Seconds to Mars and like the craziest shit.
That's so nuts. Just playing some fucking pots and pans, dude.
Straight up, you know,
that's
like
so
literally
tight.
Like plugging in electric grinders and just destroying washing machines and dryers. And it was like a Nine Inch Nails stomp Blue Man Group show. And in the course of all that, we started getting so many offers to do halftime shows, like all the big state fairs, theme park shows. And we're like, how the fuck are we going to do all this? We're just three dudes and we're already booked out. We're on tour with the Used right now. And basically somebody at one of the theme parks was like, listen, you guys can just hire people, train them, and have them be street drum corps. And we're like, that is genius. So we literally started hiring drummers around America and having them work in all these different, you know, theme parks, fairs, festivals.
Man, yo, that's so nuts. Like, you literally, like, crazy. You created like a monopoly on this super niche concept in the world of drumming and music, and then literally turned it into like a full service business that, like, and it's still going today, right?
Yeah, it's been 16 years, and And after we did like our Vegas residency at the Hard Rock, you know, years ago, that for me was kind of like the end goal of what I wanted to do. And then it got to a point where no managers were able to manage this because there's too many moving parts. And I was always micromanaging everybody. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to just retire from performing and I'm going to manage and run the company, which is
that was my next question is like, you literally get to like, you got to travel the world. You got to do your thing. You got to live that life and see it basically to, you know, completion, to the end of, you know, like how much farther could you really take it? But now you get to let it live on basically infinitely and run it, but like from above, which is so like it's almost like if, and this doesn't happen because I know people probably think it happens. I know people probably have their conspiracy theories, but it's almost like if Marshmello one day was like, I'm just going to send dudes out in Marshmello heads to DJ. Yep. We could have 5 Marshmello shows all over the world at the same time and just chill at home while all these Marshmellos are out doing the hard work. And that's like, absolutely, that is the dream, man. But obviously that wasn't enough because A, you're releasing music as yourself on my label. You're currently touring in Sum 41. So it's not like you just were like, all right, that's it. Like, I'm done. You know, so what was the transition between like steel, or why do I keep calling it steel drum corps?
Dude, everybody does. And the names that we've been called, like the best name we were ever called was at House of Blues in San Diego. Our dressing room door says Steel Drum Choir.
Wow.
That was the best one.
Wow. Like, I think it's funny. I think it's funny when they spell my name wrong. Like they'll put the U before the A and I'm Waz, you know?
Yep.
Awesome. Steel Drum Choir. Oh man, that is rich.
That would be rad. Whatever that is. But yeah, man, like I was always, you know, love to play drums in bands. That's my passion. That's my everything. So in the course of Street Drum Corps, I was always touring with different bands, you know, in and out of, you know, I kind of got known in the industry for being the guy that could, you know, come in without a rehearsal and jump in, you know, last minute and play the show flawlessly for that artist. So I wound up getting gigs playing for Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots, Gary Newman. Who else did I play with? I played, the craziest thing was I got to fill in for my idol for 2 weeks in Motley Crue.
Yeah, this was going to be a question, so I'm glad you got there.
That was you talk about, that was the first concert talking about, you know, I grew up in a musical household. My father was a drummer. My mother was a singer. My aunts and uncles are opera singers, rock singers. My grandfather had a Broadway, you know, theater show company that he directed. So it was a very artistic family. And
man, I'm jealous. My family was the polar opposite. Like my mom does commercial real estate. My dad does like, you know, other business tech stuff, whatever. Like they were always super supportive, but like I did not grow up in a musical family at all. And
well,
like
now you're changing the
this legacy. Is true. I genuinely hope that if and or when, but probably a when, Joanne and I have kids, I'll be able to instill that early onset musician in them, and my child will surpass my greatest aspirations. That is my whole goal. Absolutely. In life.
Well, they're going to be born into it because it's just, that's your life. It's around, it's normal, you know, like, so when I was 2 or 3 years old, my parents said I walked away from the dinner table and the next thing they heard was me playing my father's drum set, which is this blue stacked drum set in the corner here. This is a 1976 Ludwig drum set.
Wow.
And I literally just shipped it out here a year ago from my mother's attic. I got it all dialed, refinished. This is the drum set that's on Edge of the Earth on my record with you, and it fucking sounds amazing. Like just
that's so tight, dude. Know,
yeah, I shipped it out here, use it, and it's one of those magical kits. But I learned on this kit, and when I was 5, my parents took me to my first concert bless them for taking me to the raddest show ever. It was Ozzy Osbourne and Motley Crue in an arena.
Wow.
And like when Tommy Lee came out and played, I was in the nosebleed seats. I felt it. It just resonated to me. And I made a pact with myself at that moment at 5 years old that this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And fast forward to getting back to the Motley Crue story.
Yeah.
Moved, you know, when Street Drum Corps was happening, Tommy Lee found out about it and was a fan. And somehow we got connected, and then we became really, really good friends. And I wake up one morning and my phone is just blowing up by everybody from his team and himself, like texts, emails, missed calls. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? He's like, yo, I need you to go to the airport and come to Boston right now. I burnt my hand with fireworks last night and I need you to fill in for me. And it was like one of those things that you're just like that movie Rockstar.
Yeah.
With Wahlberg would be like, I've been waiting for this fucking moment my whole life. I've been like, I know every song, like, holy shit. And I fly out there and I'm in Motley Crue for 2 weeks. And it's like everything you could think of and then some. Like just me and Tommy Lee on a tour bus. I'm playing his show. He's still there.
Yeah, that was my next question is like, not only did you get to fill in for him, but homie is there. Like you're like fully ingrained in Motley Crue life, dude.
He's there because he's still playing piano on Home Sweet Home. He's emceeing. Like he was still there. And it was like a wild adventure because we would wake up every day and I'd be like, I look out the bus window, we're in the forest. I'm like, where the fuck are we? He's like, oh, my buddy's in the FBI squad or whatever. We're going to shoot a bunch of guns and blow up a bunch of shit. I'm like, okay, good morning. Let's go. He's like, here's a shot of Jaeger. Let's go. Great. The next day, it's like police escort. This is like DJ shit, like your world. It's like police escort out of the venue, jump on the bus. We're getting on a jet.
This is not like my world.
2 days off.
This is not like my world at all. No way.
But
fuck. Yeah,
it's like we're in the Bahamas for 2 days.
Oh, yeah. My tour bus experience is we wake up every day and we're like, "Yo, you guys want to play some video games?" Yeah.
You don't do the jet to like festivals and shows because the logistics.
I mean, every now and then, you know, but it's not the usual. You know what I mean? Like, I travel pretty well within my means. You know, the only times I've ever taken a jet is if I absolutely had to. Like there was literally no way that I was ever gonna make a show without that being like the method of transportation. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That's how you sustain in this world where we, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean that's part of the reason that I can live right now and not be freaking out. You know what I mean? Like I've been smart enough with my money that like during all of this, I'm not like, well, fuck, I better go get a normal job because everything is gone. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. I can live like, you know, within my means and like we can survive and whatever. And I think it's, you know, I feel very fortunate to be in a position like that because, you know, there's a lot of artists that were just getting their feet off the ground and they don't have that luxury. But there's also a lot of artists that have probably made more money than me and just spent a lot more that are kind of shit out of luck right now, in my world, at least, you know?
Oh, it's the same. I mean, it's when the dust settles and it's go time again, it's going to be interesting what venues are still there, what bands are still there, what, you know, I'm just keeping my head down and focusing on positivity because you and I can't control
exactly,
you know, what's going on. So
I think that's the right way to look at it, man. And you know what? I don't want this to devolve into a whole coronavirus and then blah, 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 blah. He's going to like, it'll take us down a deep, dark path that we won't be able to get ourselves back from, especially when you're talking to me because I won't shut up about it. But one thing that I can say about it is that there's probably never been a better time for you to kind of really put your head down and, you know, kind of explore the world that you're exploring right now, like with the EP that you're putting out with the labels. So I feel like this is a good segue into that. Like what made you want to start making music in an electronic format? I don't even want to call, and I've had this conversation with you a couple times, but I don't really want to call the EP. I don't want to call your music necessarily like EDM or dance music. Like it's like electronic music, but it feels very much like I'm listening to, you know, like a pop punk band or, you know, a metalcore band or something like that. I've given the reference to, like a 21 Pilots-esque vibe where it's like very electronically influenced, but also you hear the rock and roll throughout it, like very, very much so. But like what took you from, playing in Motley Crue to I want to make electronic music?
It's something that's always kind of been there, and I never, went down that path until, I've been so blessed to be in Sum 41 for the past 5 years, and make 2 records with the band, tour the world, and it's been the most incredible thing of my life. And we were on a break, and I was in Hawaii with my wife, and she was super pregnant with our second baby, and my oldest was like pretty young, and I just kind of was like, it was pretty amazing. It was like an early morning. I went for a run on the beach, and it just kind of, this whole inspirational wave of just greatness kind of hit me and came over me, and I was just like, I need to do this. I want to do this. I want to collaborate with a different producer, songwriter, singer on every song, and explore all these musical styles that I love, of rock music, of dance music, of pop music. And I kind of, because I had been out doing a lot of these emo nights and workshops for kids, inspiring kids all over the world, from China through America, and I was just playing like medleys and mashups and DJ mixes of just shit that I was of all my bands and careers and music I liked. Right. And I was like, I'm not even playing my own music, and this is working so well. Like, I played the Shrine for the emo night day, and I was like, don't put me on the stage. I want to be in the middle of the audience on a B stage and have the audience surround me. And it was such an amazing experience. I'm like, fuck, if I had my own tunes and had like a guest singer come up here with me, and I just started being inspired by all this, and I was like, it's the time to do this now. And I kind of just pitched the whole thing to my team. I was like, what do you guys think? Am I fucking nuts? Or, does this make sense? And they were like, absolutely, let's do this. So I literally, the first person I worked with was Keizo. We went in the studio. This is a crazy story. It was literally the morning after my second son was born in our house.
Jesus Christ.
Talk about just, because it happened unexpectedly. We had him at home. I went to sleep for like 2 hours. Hayden and I had the session booked. And I showed up to the studio. I was gonna track Cruel Love for his record that day, and then we were gonna write and record a track for my record, which wound up becoming The Less We Know. And we recorded it, and we put it out when we played Coachella, which you played last year as well. Yeah. We were all doing Coachella. We put it out, and right after that, I added more to my management team, and they just started, getting me working with a bunch of amazing songwriters and producers. And last summer, when I was on tour with Sum 41, on literally in cities that there were certain people, I would go work in the afternoon with them, or when I had short breaks from home. And this EP was written and recorded last summer, just with no singers yet. It was just music and drums. And then it was like, okay, who's going to sing on these tracks? What kind of singers are we feeling? And then let's start, and I wanted to work with upcoming singers or undiscovered singers, and, people that were moving and inspiring me. And Sum 41, the tour that you were on with us, The Plot and you were supporting us. And I had never heard of the band before. And opening night of the tour, they went on, I heard them through my dressing room door, and I immediately stopped warming up, turned my music off, went out, watched them side stage. And I was like, this is the guy for this track, Hit the Ground. He can scream, he can sing.
And that's my favorite record on the EP. And it's so funny because I've known the band for a long time. I grew up a metalcore kid, so that shit's like my bread and butter, And I heard the record and I was like, fuck, this sounds so tight. Like, it sounds like if a metalcore vocalist did like a fucking 21 Pilots record. Totally. Like, this is so sick because his vocals, obviously, that's his world. Like, they have that very, whatever it is about like metalcore, like whether it's like the melodies or the rhythms or like whatever it is about it. And like, I miss that so much in music, but to have it repackaged into the kind of format that you put it in, it felt so good, You know,
He
I
was
was like,
perfect.
yeah.
I pulled him in my dressing room and I was like, I got to play you this track. Like, let me know if you're down. And he was like, absolutely. And he went home after that tour to Detroit and tracked it and sent it to me. And I was like, it's perfect, man. Like, you know, we talked about concepts and like all that. And, you know, with Edge of the Earth, with Dying Designer, that recommendation came from Sum 41's label, Hopeless. Our A&R guy asked him to send me a couple singers that were inspiring him at the moment. And Dying Designer was on the label at that time. And I thought he'd be perfect for that song. So we linked and he recorded that song vocally in Chicago. And then,
which is funny because he's actually from our world,
which I didn't know until Hayden and his team were telling me that he was in the EDM world like previously, and I had no idea.
He was like when I first started under Borgor's label at Bygor, he was like a rapper who was doing EDM records. Wow. And so like and like I didn't even know it was him until I watched the music video, and I was like, is that fucking Brewski? And then I went and did some Brewski, and I went and did some research, and I was like, yeah, like this is him, and he's like fully like doing the whole like, you know, metalcore, emo rap, whatever you want to call it thing.
Totally.
And it's cool to see people, because I mean, you know, I was never like super good friends with him or anything, but like I have a feeling that was like what he grew up in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just like me, like. You know, and it's cool to see people, you know, kind of go back to their roots and figure out something new and like really, you know, change it up in a good way. Not to say that, you know, him rapping on EDM songs wasn't cool, but there was a lot of people doing it. You know what I mean? And I feel like, especially like with the record that you guys have on the EP, it feels like he's hit his stride. You know, like it feels awesome. It feels right. You know, like I heard it and I was like, yo, this dude almost sounds like he's like, so it sounds like some old school like Blink 182 shit. You know what I mean?
That was the first song written for this EP as well, and we got him on board. And then like Holy Ghost was done all in Arizona. That was done, you know, all in Arizona with a songwriter producer there. The Underclassmen are like a rad pop. A singer and keyboard player from LA, but they recorded the vocals out in Arizona as well. And, you know, there was a couple more songs that, you know, I worked with some DJs as well. And there was some more, which you heard in the original Dropbox folder, some more EDM kind of banger tracks. And like, I sent you that whole folder, and like, the way that I found out that you even had a label was through YL, because I did a song with YL and on one of your compilations. You put out YL, and I just saw this rad artwork, and I saw Bites. I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, oh shit, Jauz has a label. And I started researching everything you were doing, and I'm like, this is just something felt really good about it, and just from our interaction that we had. And I didn't even have your, you know, info or anything, and I hit up Joe Larkin, because I remember Joe Larkin telling me about, you know, good old Joe. He was showing me your insane DJ rig that you had for Coachella when we were on set doing the Crew Love video. Yeah. So I remembered that you guys had worked together and were bros. So he introed me to you and your management and all that.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, shout out Joe Larkin. I'm sure you're not here Joe right rules. Now, but we miss you, Joey.
He's with Diplo in the desert somewhere or something.
Yeah, probably.
But, and honestly, this is the positive thing of, you know, this pandemic and everything. Like, this wouldn't have happened if I wasn't home, and all of this, like the stars aligned because of this pandemic, which is something that I'm taking positive out of this whole thing.
It's all about the silver linings, man. I've said that really so many times, like whether it's, you know, on the stream, to the chat, or to, you know, my family or to my friends or whatever, like as horrible and shitty as all of this has been, there's also, I feel like, you know, maybe in our world it's more noticeable right now, but, you know, as time goes on, I think we're going to see a lot of things in the world change in a positive way, either on like a personal scale or on a more, you know, global scale. But I feel like a lot of people have been able to take the time to think about things and really, you know, be introspective and, you know, make positive changes in their lives that they wouldn't have been able to like hit the brakes and stop and think about and then take action on. I know I've done it. I've obviously, you know, you've done it. I know a lot of artists in my, you know, peer group, friend group, whatever, have done the same thing. And I know a lot of people that aren't artists that have you know, kind of echoed that same notion that, like, you know, they've been like, wow, well, now that I'm kind of out of the rat race and get to take a break, like, I've realized I want to do this, or I'm not doing enough of this, or I've been doing too much of this. And, like, you know, I think, I try really hard not to word this the wrong way because it sounds bad, but I feel like this was a break that everyone needed in life that none of us were ever going to take. I know I would have never taken it. I would have never taken this much time off of touring, and I feel like it's benefited me so much in you know, a mental way, in a creative way. You know, obviously I'm ready for the world to open back up, but at the same time, like, I feel so grateful that I've had these, you know, couple months to really like get my life in order. You know what I mean?
I couldn't agree more, man. In the last year, Sum 41, we were touring the world just like you were, and the longest break I had was 9 days for Christmas. And, you know, being, you know, a father with, you know, 2 little boys, man, like, this has been the silver linings, the best perk of it all, because I literally got to see my oldest son swim, and, you know, for the first time, learn to swim, learn to ride his bike without training wheels, hear the baby start talking.
Dude, and
like,
and doesn't
you know,
that make you think about things in a different way? Because, like, you know, obviously I don't have kids yet, but, you know, this is the most time I've had at home for the last 6 years. And, you know,
it's important for your marriage, dude. It's
really
important
for your marriage. And then, like, you know, and this, I'm not going to say that a dog is the same as a kid, but to be able to spend this much time with my dog that I care about just about more than anything in the world, it made me realize, like, fuck, when we have kids, like, I don't want to just be on the road full time and, like, you know, miss all of these moments that you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like, you know, this is my life. It's what I've wanted since I was a kid. You know, I feel more grateful than I could ever explain, but, like, at the same time, it's like, I've realized, like, okay, like, maybe I need to figure out how to not be on the road 200 to 250 days out of the year anymore. Yeah. Like for my well-being, for, you know, like you said, my marriage's well-being, for my future kids' well-being, like, it's this balance between, like, okay, the more I'm on the road, the more money I'm going to make, the more comfortable I can make my family, but also, like, at what point, what does that even matter if I'm not getting to spend time with them, you know? Like, and I'm sure that these are the same notions that you've had run through your head, considering you are a father of 2.
And all of Sum 41, we're dads now. Derek, I mean, talk about timing. He's the newest dad in the family, just had his first baby, and wow. he had the baby right before this happened. So yeah. He gets to be home now and learn to be a dad for the first time without running off to tour. Like, the first, you know, when I had my first son, I left a month later to go to Europe for a month, you know.
Fuck,
and
dude.
It's, you know, I'm so stoked that he has this time, and we were out nonstop for a year. So Derek's like, we're taking a break right now. And, you know, we're supposed to head back, you know, as of right now. I think Slam Dunk Festival in UK in May is like our first, you know, shows back as of now, if things go back. So, you know, we all get to have this time with our families. But for me personally, I need that creative outlet every day, because performing live, drumming, like, that's just me. And this solo project now is fulfilling that creativity and that kind of outlet that I need, because it's me. It's been my DNA and me my whole life. So what a great time to fully focus and have tunnel vision for this EP, this solo project. You know, everyone's home right now. And I've literally started in July writing the follow-up record that I'm so deep in right now, which has been the most amazing process creatively, you know. And it's just a good time. And I had to figure out how to put my live show together because of these streaming events. And I was like, I'm not going to just go stream and play in this room right here with my drums. Like I want to
That's
give
what I would do.
the audience. I mean, and that's a lot of people are doing that, and there's nothing wrong with how you want to do it. I want to give the viewers the fucking big rock arena show production when they're at home watching it. And before, this is a thing now. There's facilities where you can go everywhere and do this now. But when this whole thing was new and hit, Kevin Lyman, who owns the Warped Tour, was doing this big mental health awareness festival with Chester from Linkin Park's Widow for mental health, and it was going to be at a venue in downtown LA, and then the pandemic hit, and they were like, no venues, we have to do this at home. So I was like, I'm not going to do this at home. I don't want to launch my solo project, in that way. And I literally called up Billy Smith, who's production manager, and I was like, Billy, how do we do this and make this epic? And he's like, we go to my friend's warehouse, they have all the gear there, we fucking set it up, and we set up the video walls, the lighting, we do it rad. And because of the, to get nerdy for a second, the technology is so good now. I didn't need to have all of my crew guys who don't live in LA. And because of this is when social distancing, they didn't want anybody in the room with me.
Yeah.
With Ableton timecode MIDI, I was able to fire lighting, visuals, everything through fucking Ableton without these guys in the room, which was amazing. And we got to build my live production and see what that is. And, before I jumped on here with you, I was in here rehearsing my set because I'm doing a taping on Saturday for a really big live stream event coming up. And we're like, okay, how do we top the production? How do we make this even, bigger? So
yeah, it's been really cool to see how many people have I've been kind of on the other side where I was like, okay, I got off a 52 date tour right before COVID happened. And I was like, the last thing I want to do is DJ in a room by myself. I just spent all this money, all this time on this, all this effort on my biggest stage production ever. We literally had a massive fucking rotating shark fin that I was levitating above. I did it. You know what I mean? I was like, there's no way I'm going to get close to this for a live stream. It's just not going to happen. There's no way. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to let everyone else do it. I've done a DJ set here and there, but, and maybe it's different because, you're playing the drums and you're doing it. But when you're just sitting there and you're hitting play on the CDJs and whatever, it's so hard to for me at least, to get into it. Cause
you need the crowd. You need that,
I need the crowd
energy.
for real.
When you're DJing, it's a club, culture feeling. And, there's a lot of, bands that won't do it, including my band right now. We're just you don't want to represent yourself that way. If you don't need to, if things keep going on, we're going to have to think of other things. But, for me, building this brand with the solo thing, it's
perfect.
Really fun for me. And again, I'm building my live show. So, I'm booked at Slam Dunk, festival in the UK to do my first international show with this in May. It's I got the live show now, it's we figured out how to do this and make this insane with me just as a one-man kind of show.
Yeah.
So that's been the cool part, is just to, take the time with my crew guys and really figure it out and plot it. So that's been really, really fun to have the time to kind of do that and get creative into that. And just geeking out and learning, I find, built, MIDI proper drums here. So for writing sessions and practicing, I can do it right and have the right recording Ableton software and all this shit. So that's been fun to just geek out and really learn, the technology, more technology side of the shit that we do.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I feel like there couldn't have been a better, moment for you to finally be and I feel the same way, it's like how I felt about getting into streaming, which is something that I did, not nearly as much before all this happened, but it was something I was super passionate about. It was something that I felt like was the future. And I mean, if I was wrong before, I'm definitely not wrong now. But, even when things were normal, I was like, streaming on Twitch and whatever like that, or, even outside of Twitch. But for me, I was a fan of, live streaming on Twitch. This is going to be the future of, music and entertainment in one way or another. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but it's like now to have all this time to really focus on learning the backbones of how to do all this stuff, and like so many, like I'm a real nerd at the end of the day. Like it's how I ended up making electronic music, you know? Like I've always been obsessed with technology and, you know, like video editing and programming and all this stuff. So like getting the time to be like, okay, I can make music full time and dive into all this shit, instead of being like, I only have 3 days to make 7 songs and then I have to go back on the road. Like, you know, it's really fucking cool, man. Obviously I would give it all up for the world to be normal again, you know, but it's been really cool to kind of, and again, this is kind of like what I was talking about before, is like, I feel like a lot of people have had that same experience that you just talked about, where it's like, they're sitting at home and they're like, well, fuck, like I've always wanted to, you know, write a book. And now I have time. And then they realize that maybe they're a way better writer than they were at crunching numbers at a desk. And now instead of being, you know, someone else's employee, they could be a super successful writer. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's
dude, I agree with you so much. Everybody should come out of this just on another level of their career, their craft, you know, like, you know, there's so many kids who, you know, when this hit were so bummed out and depressed and this and that. I was going on to a lot of live streams with like the School of Rock music schools, like just talking to the students there on a private chat, just being like, take this time to come out of this thing as the best singer, the best drummer, because you have the time now. You're not running to soccer practice and a birthday party and this and that. Like, just literally lock yourself in your room and just shed, and use this time to literally be a better songwriter, just even a better human, like to work on yourself and just to have this time. And yes, some days are difficult. Some days are hard. And I mean, especially for, you know, people, you know, with the way you and I were just on the go, and to just be told to go home and everything shut down. It was just like, I'm a planner. I like to know what's, you know, my schedule in advance and everything that's going on, and to just be sent home. And, you know, I'm grateful that my wife was working from home anyway. She still has a job and she's able to work. She was like, daycare's closed. You got to watch the boys 8-9 hours a day. And it was just like, okay, holy shit, we're doing this. Like, it's full on, you know, going from, okay, what time's sound check? What time's catering? What time is meet and greet? Cool, bus call. Like, that was my day every day, to just being like, okay, cool. I got to literally take care of 2 children in every aspect of those hours, you know?
I'm the polar opposite, man. Like, I'm such a day-to-day person and like an in the moment kind of person. Like, planning things in advance, remembering things, like whatever, like it's like, that is my personal nightmare. And it's a reason that I am so fortunate, you know, among the million other reasons, but specifically, you know, just task management and being organized and that kind of stuff. That's what Joanne, my wife, is incredible at.
That's awesome.
You know, and she's helped me a ton, but like, you know, like when I'm on bus tour, I felt the same way as you, except almost the polar opposite, where it was like I had my tour manager, production manager, whatever there, so I could literally just sit and do whatever the fuck I wanted until someone else would come and tap on my shoulder and be like, hey, like, you're up in 5 minutes, or you have this interview, or we have to go do sound check, or whatever it is. Like, I knew I wasn't going to miss anything because someone was there to make sure I didn't miss it, you know? So it's actually funny because throughout all of this, like I said, I live so day to day that, like, the fact that it's been like, what has it been, 6 months now since this shit all went down? Yeah. To me, it feels like 2 days. Like, I'm just like, I wake up in the morning and it feels like it was, you know, I was on tour yesterday, and I just get up and I do my thing. And meanwhile, Joanne is very much like you, and she's like, when the fuck is this going to end? Like, when are we going to have some sense of normalcy? When are we going to do this? And I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I'm just sitting here making music, like doing the things I like to do. So it's funny. Like, I've, you know, I haven't really felt that sense of like where I've like freaked out, you know, because I don't like, And maybe it's also like on purpose, you know, because if you start thinking too much about like, oh man, like what's gonna happen with the music industry, like what's gonna happen with my job, like what's gonna happen with this, with that, like if you start going down that rabbit hole, like you're not gonna get back, you know. That is like a one-way ticket to mental health issues, like for sure. So instead of even starting there, I'm just kind of like what you were just saying. It's just like, you know, like I have all this time to give my undevoted or undivided, devoted or undivided, whatever way you want to call it, attention to making the best music I can and working on doing the Twitch streaming thing and, you know, doing more graphic design and just all these things that I love to do. And so whenever kids ask me like, oh, you know, like, do you have any advice or whatever, I basically say exactly what you just said. And it was really cool to hear you say that because, I mean, you're right. There's never been a better time to be an up and coming artist, in my opinion.
You have a absolute audience that is everyone is just so focused because they're not running around and this and that. Like they're going to really listen to your record and everything that goes up. You know, it's like we have such a great, you know, opportunity for that in these times. And like, I'm so excited for the music that's going to come out next year because you're right. No one's tapping you on the shoulder being like, bro, you have to go play this festival. We got to put this single out or you got to get your record out because this tour. It's like everybody could just make the records they want to make without these deadlines and time constraints. And I'm so excited to hear and the, you know, a lot of singles been coming out more frequently, which is awesome. There's a lot of people like yourself that are collaborating on Twitch and these things with other artists and making music. Mike Shinoda's on his like third record that he's made on Twitch.
Yo, you know, I had no idea that Shinoda, and not only just Shinoda, but I also found out the other day that every single member of Trivium streams on Twitch.
Really?
Yeah.
That's rad.
Not just one of them. Like I saw that Matt Heafy streams on Twitch and I was like, oh shit, that's cool. And then I went and I looked at his Twitter page and all 5 members of the band all stream on Twitch, which is fucking crazy. But I don't know if they're doing as much music stuff as Mike is, but the fact that Mike Shinoda has written not one, but like multiple albums just hanging out, like that's the dream, bro. Like if you guys don't know who Mike Shinoda is, because I see a couple questions in the chat, Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, like the Mike Shinoda, like the dude who did all the raps, like made all the beats, like Fort Minor, like one of my personal heroes. Like it's so cool to see, you know, people like him, you know, kind of, and like not just him, but like Timbaland is streaming today on Twitch right now as we speak. T-Pain streaming all the time, making music, like it, and it's, you know, for us, and my buddy Nick actually said this in the chat earlier. He said, what did he say, Nick? He said, I swear the gamers and producers were more prepped for this lifestyle than anyone else. And I totally agree. Cause like, you know, kind of back to what we were talking about before, like when I was a kid and things were normal, instead of having, you know, COVID lockdown to be like, okay, now it's time to focus on my craft. Like I had to give up going to high school parties. I had to give up going out with my friends on the weekends. I had to give up going to any concerts that my friends were going to because those were the hours, those were the times where I could focus on making music. And from the time that I was 14 and I found electronic music, I basically, like, I didn't throw my guitar away or anything, but like I put it down. And I was like, all right, like electronic music is for me. All I have to do is work super hard. And as long as I work hard, I can become successful. So like at 14, I was like, this is like my job now, you know? So I, you know, made the sacrifices to, you know, allow for the time for me to grow as an artist. But right now, you don't have to make those sacrifices. They're already being made for you. You know what I mean? Like if you're not, you know, and I guess this is the point that I wanted to get to, kind of to tie this all up with a bow, is if you are not taking this time and using it to make yourself better at whatever it is that you want to do, then I don't know what to say. Because if you care about something enough, then you see all of this as an opportunity, not as a hindrance, you know? Like, and that doesn't just relate to music. It relates to literally anything in the world. Like, you want to get better at basketball, like, I don't know, go find a hoop that doesn't have a bunch of people around it, and you can go shoot hoops every single day for 8 hours of the day because you're not doing anything else right now. You know, like it's I don't know. That I'm gonna get off my soapbox now.
No, I love it. I agree, and it's even that amazing Netflix. It's on Netflix now. The Michael Jordan documentary about
dude. Oh my god, that There's two things on the internet that inspire me more than anything. One of them is that, and the other one, I don't know if you've watched it, but if you haven't, you absolutely should. Timbaland did a masterclass series, like that
cool.
masterclass.
Yeah.
Dude, I've watched that thing like 5 or 6 times. It's like 10 or 12 episodes, and each one is like an hour. Amazing. I think that might be an exaggeration, but either way, I watch that shit religiously. Like, and it's like, I love things like that just like you watch it or you listen to it or whatever it is, and you're just like, I have to go make music. You know what I mean?
And that's, to tie up with this solo project, that's what this project is all about. It's about me stepping out of my comfort zone, going for something, just constantly pushing forward. And, this is, my goal of this is to make people feel something immediately, make somebody smile, inspire somebody. That's the whole goal of this, because, it's where I'm in my life and why I decided to do this. And, even with putting anything out, when I've been working with you and the team about visuals, about the music video, like everything, I want it to just everything to be people to watch it and be inspired and see something positive, because, unfortunately, social media and everything has become a bit of a fucking dark place these days. And
oh, really? I haven't noticed, man.
It's just, it used to be, you'd wake up in the morning, you'd be pumped, like this tour is happening, this blah, 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 it was just that. Now it's just like, holy shit, it's heavy, and it really bums you out that you kind of got to stay away if you don't want to be bummed out. And I'm just like, if people are scrolling through their feed and they're going to watch my video or whatever, I want it to make them feel something and positive, and make something that's a beautiful cinematic video. And just to even just briefly talk about the music video, I even wanted to get over a fear and try to do something that I had never done and push myself. And when we did the music video, and I didn't even know if it was going to fucking work till we got there. And it even
are you being vague on purpose? You don't want to give too much away yet?
I mean, we can talk about a fear of drowning, of water, of doing something underwater that I've never done before. I think that's a good teaser enough.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, it's very on brand for me to have something be aquatic, and the music video is very much. The music video for the song is very much aquatic. I won't give anyone that much yet, but it's definitely one of the cooler music videos, if not the coolest music video we've done on the label thus far. I'm super stoked for people to get a look at it. So why don't you give us a breakdown? Because, like you said, you're the organized one here. I don't know anything. And I'm sure you've noticed through, emailing with me and Shara and the label and whatever, like, that's why I have people like Joanne and like Shara around, because they're on top of shit. They're like, hey, Sam, you gotta do this. And I'm like in my, producer cave doing whatever I'm doing. I'm like, huh?
All good, man.
Oh, fuck.
All good.
Right. Yeah. Well, so give us a breakdown of when people can expect to, see the music video, hear the first song, whatever it is.
So basically, we announced the EP yesterday with the epic album cover artwork that your amazing team did, which was amazing.
Shout out to Phil.
Yeah, killed it. Like, wow. And the record comes out. It's a 3-song EP that comes out on September 25th. And let's just say from now till September 25th, there'll be some other treats and things dropping. Like, we're going to we have a big schedule of things happening around that time. So just, stay in tune with the Bite This socials, Jauz socials, my socials, and we're making it fun. We have a really fun, really cool special campaign. The
we
marketing rollout,
really do. When we were talking about it on the phone, and you guys told me about some of the ideas that you were talking about, I was like, oh fuck, like, why don't we do more of this stuff? But it's because you happen to be plugged in with these really cool people in these really cool places, and you get to make really cool shit happen. So I'm stoked
and major props to you guys, dude. It's like, from day one, your email back to me about the EP, the songs I sent you, was like this, and it was real. It helped me reel in what this record was, because you don't know when you're so deep into it.
100%.
Like, yeah. These 3 songs, what you're doing, this is the fucking sound you created. These other like EDM bangers and shit are dope, but like you've created a sound and this is what it should be. And you helped me get to a place to kind of understand it all, and just your notes and creativity. Like, it was, when we had that first call, I was like, this is exactly what I had dreamt of, working with a label, and just how creative and how on point and just everything would be, which I didn't expect from a label. And especially, like, it's so cool to be at the forefront with you, working in this pivoting of you guys going down a whole new venture, sonically with artists and all this shit. Like, it's really cool to be part of all that.
I mean, I the whole goal of making a label for me was to do things like backwards from a normal label, and there's only, I had a lot of harebrained ideas about how to do just that, and I still have lots of harebrained ideas about it, but a lot of those aren't really feasible quite yet. But kind of like what you were saying, like, you know what, man, like, you sent me those songs. Like, if I'm going to respond to someone, I'm either going to do it 100%. I when Joanne and I went up to Northern California to see my family a couple weeks ago, we were listening to this podcast that said exactly this, specifically about responding to emails. And this guy was like, I either don't respond to an email at all, or I give like a 3-paragraph response, because like, I don't want someone to think that I just don't give a shit. I either want them to think that I didn't see it, forgot about it, or that I actually give a shit. And I was like, wow, that's totally what I do. But secondly, also, like, whether it's you, whether it's one of my best friends, whether it's one of my idols, whether it's like a up and coming producer, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, if I'm going to give you advice or criticism or whatever it is, if you're asking for something, whether that's you genuinely wanting direction, wanting advice, whatever it is, or whether it's you're hoping that, whether it's me or anyone else, and this goes out to you, chat, too, and anyone else who listens to this as a podcast, because we get that a lot on the stream. Every Monday, I do demo reviews where kids send in songs, and I can tell when people send in music hoping that I'm going to listen to it and just be like, yo, this is the sickest thing ever. And like, I'm going to sign this, like that. And that's not what I do, because I don't think that that's helpful to literally anyone. And the same goes for you. Like, I could have just been like, yeah, these ones are cool, these ones are whatever. But I was like, no, like, if we're going to work with Frank, if we're going to put this music out, like, I'm going to give it to him straight up. And either, exactly like what you said will happen, where you're like, I needed this, or they'll be like, oh, fuck this guy. Like, he said that one of my songs, like, this wasn't right. Like, I'm the best. And if that's how they feel about it, then I probably don't want to work with them anyways. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, if you can't take criticism, if you can't, like, handle someone telling you no, then you're not going to make it very far in music. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
you want people to be totally honest and real with you, and not the typical Hollywood, yeah, buddy, it's all good, because that's only going to last so long, and it's not going to, it's not really in the end going to work out.
What does that do for you? If someone's like, yeah, these are cool, I'll let you know, and then you never hear from them again, that's actually way worse, because then you're like, oh, that guy didn't even really like it, but he didn't even have the nuts to tell me,
Absolutely.
Like, he didn't even tell me why he didn't like it, Or like when I send things out to people and they're like, oh, well, this isn't quite the right fit for us or whatever. I'm like, why? Like, just give me some sort of constructive criticism that I can, like, then go back and be like, oh, they're totally right. And then that helps me grow as a musician. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So yeah, that's, you know, I was, I was super stoked that you sent me the records. You know, obviously I've been a fan of Sum 41 since I was like fucking 4 years old. And, you know, I thought it was super cool to have the opportunity to work with you in this kind of way. But at the same time, I kind of like took a step back and I was like, wait, like, I'm not going to put Frank on a pedestal. Like, I'm going to treat him just like any other artist that I would, you know, or even honestly, maybe give you a little bit more realness than I would to, you know, an artist that's more up and coming, you know, because if I hear something from someone that's just started producing, right, like 6 months in, I'm not going to be like, yo, this fucking sucks, dude. Like, figure your shit out, bro. I'm going to be like, okay, like, here's how you can make your stuff, you know, kind of get better. Here's what you need to do better, whatever. But like, for someone like you, I was like, yo, like, people in your position probably get people just telling them that their shit doesn't stink all the time. And it's not like I told you, like, yo, your shit sucks.
No.
But at the same time, I got to, you know, tell you how I felt about it, because I did. Like, that was real. Like, I listened to the 3 records that we have on the EP, and I was like, these sound like Frank Zummo, you know? And like, I'm so stoked to be able to put out those 3 records, you know? Not that the other ones aren't good, like you said, but like, you know, and again, I do this on the stream literally every week where I hear stuff from people and I'm like, this doesn't sound like you, or I'm like, this is exactly who you are, and like, this is the path you need to follow, you know? And so I think it's going to be really cool. Like you said, it's definitely a new frontier for the label. And I'm really excited to see how people kind of, take it when they hear it for the first time. Cause I know a lot of people are going to be like, yo, this is sick. Cause it's just good music. And that's what's really cool at the end of the day, is it's music. You know what I mean? It's not bangers. It's not, you know, dance music. It's not rock. It's not pop. Is just good music. Like, when Shara hit me up and she was like, yo, like, you know, for putting this on, you know, the DSPs, we need to know what category, like what genre it is. And I literally, I straight up could not figure out what to call it. I was like, is this dance music? Is it rock? Is it pop? And I settled for electronic music, which is, at least on Apple, you know, their electronic music category is like a huge range from like super poppy to like more like indie alt electronic stuff to like very dancey stuff. It's all encompassing. And honestly, I feel like that's where all dance music should live. And all electronically produced music should live, is in electronic music. But like, that was so cool to be like, okay, for the first time on this label, we have something that's not just, oh yeah, stick it in house music, stick it in dubstep, stick it in this. It was like, oh, like, I actually have to genuinely think about this right now. It was a really cool moment, man.
That's awesome. And I, you know, sonically too, you know, it was just like, I, you know, worked really hard to not make the drums just be like, you know, your acoustic drum sounds. We worked really hard to merge electronic drum sounds with acoustic drum sounds to make my sound that I wanted to have, that you literally could bump in a club or a, you know, EDM festival or at a rock show or whatever it would be, like that. It had those frequencies, and we worked really, really hard, because you're talking about 3 different producers, 3 different mixers, 3 different drum sets, 3 different studios, you know, but like, we got an amazing mastering guy to tie it all in at the end, which was like the icing on the cake. To really
he killed it, man.
Like,
I feel bad talking about this stuff in front of everyone, because they're like, cool, I'm not going to be able to listen to this for like 15 days, but it sounds really, really good, man. All right. I know that you have to go pretty soon because you are a dad and you need to go do dad things.
Yeah, they're being, my wife's jumped in doing dinner
superhero status.
Yeah, we just kind of tag in and out when we have these things, and you know, it's been cool to just juggle the schedule around their, you know, they're at a very limited daycare schedule now and whatnot, so it's a juggling act. But I'm back to, you know, running around, and it's just so fun to be, have a schedule in this regard where it's like, cool, getting ready for the live stream show, get press, records coming out, like just all this stuff. It's a really, really good time. And, I can't thank you and the label enough for just believing in this. And like we said from day one, we don't want like just a label. We want like an actual partner in this family. And I feel like that's how it's been since day one. So thank you
man.
to you and the team, man.
Well, before you go, I want to give the chat, there were, a multitude of questions that were going on through our conversation. Sure. And I didn't want to just stop right in the middle of it.
Let's go for it.
One of the regulars in the chat, his name is, or he goes by Multi. He's actually a drummer. He's a huge fan of yours. Multi, I know you had a question, but what he said right just now was, I remember that one time at Warped Tour, Frank brought out his son and had him on his lap and was letting him play the drums.
Yep. Yeah. So my, kids grew up in this. I mean, my oldest son.
Wait, before you start, just so you guys are completely clear, chat, this is your turn to now ask questions. Put them in the chat, and I will ask them to Frank before he has to go. All right.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, he's would come on tour and play at Soundcheck on some shows, and then on Warped Tour last year, the final Warped Tour in Northern California, it was like the festival. It turned into the final one ever. Sum 41 played, Street Drum Corps. We opened the whole day.
Wow,
such an epic day to go out on Warped Tour. And during the Street Drum Corps set, I brought my son out, and he was wailing on oil drums with me, and it was such a special moment to be. The Warped Tour really was what made my career totally go next level. That was like
Warped Tour is the reason that I'm here right now. Not because I played on it, but because I went every year as a kid. I mean, that was like one of my first, it wasn't my first concert, but like that was like the first festival I went to on my own with my friends. And like, I was like, yo, like, this is it. I'm going to be those dudes up there. Like, this is happening. Man, Warped Tour holds such a special place in my heart, bro. And
especially to me with Street Drum Corps. I mean, literally Kevin Lyman was like, come on the tour with Street Drum Corps, but I don't have a stage for you. I'll put you in one of the midways, but bring your own stage, your own PA. And we were like, okay, we'll figure this out. And we did it. And Bert from the Jauz wound up having a break from the Jauz. He's like, I'm coming out with you guys. I'm going to play a trumpet, I'm going to scream. I'm going to play drums. And the Jauz was massive at that time.
Yeah.
On this little stage. And it just created such a ruckus every day. And this is when Skrillex was a baby. He was in from first to last.
Yeah.
He'd come on stage with us and rock out with us every day. And it was just like,
that's fucking
such
sick.
An incredible time. And to be playing the closing, I used to build my own stage on the Warped Tour, to being in the headlining act Sum 41, and then to play the final Warped Tour, getting to open the day with Street Drum Corps, and then have my son be part of that. And it's like, it's just crazy because they grew up in this. That's just normal to them. They can be side stage at shows and all this. And like the show you were at the Palladium, he's like, Dad, I'm going to come up and play during the show. And I'm like, Bud, you can't at a Sum 41 show. You can play during Soundcheck, but how about at the end of the show, you could launch my sticks into the crowd. So that was the deal we made. But then I fucking took him to see 21 Pilots, who's Sum 41 and 21 Pilots are his favorite bands. And I took him to see 21 Pilots at the Forum. And in the middle of the show, he's singing every song, having the time of his life. He starts crying. And I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, I want to go on stage and say hi to them and play drums. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, he thinks that's what you could do at every show because of just coming out with me. That's his reality. And I was like,
oh man, how old is he?
4.
He's already jaded at 4 years old. He's already accustomed to the backstage life, man. What was I going to say? One of my goals as a musician, and I've said this multiple times to multiple people, including Joanne, and she always laughs at me when I say it, but it's 100% one of my goals, is I want to have kids when I have done enough with my, career where I feel like I'm in a position where I can actually take care of a kid. But also I want to be young enough as a dad so that I'm still touring to the point where like, I can be that dad that gets to bring his kid on stage and like have them have that like memory so that when they're older, they can be like, yo, dude, like I got to go on stage at like this crazy festival with my dad. Like that is like, I have like this vision of it in my head, and that is the goal. So, you know, as much as I've talked about how like I've realized that I need to stop or slow down on touring, I also still have that goal in my head. So it doesn't seem like I'm gonna stop anytime soon.
Dude, my advice to you, because you're a one-man show besides your crew guys, you could literally on your bus have a bedroom in the back and bring your wife and your kid on tour. I can't do that in Sum 41 unless I get my own bus, because it's band, crew, we're stacked. There's no room for the family, you know.
I know. I've been on quite a few metal buses. Not that they're nearly as nice as the Sum 41 buses, but it's a different world for sure. And the only you know issue or downside to that is that because I am, you know, a DJ, like an electronic act, we don't do bus tours that often.
No, you're flying. You know, again, my love for electronic music has been since I was, you know, super young. And, you know, I got to, you know, be in Cruella when they put a live band together. I got to tour with Cruella, and then
we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, I got the gig in Cruella, and I toured the world with those girls, doing tours, festivals. We did club tours. We did massive, all the shows you do, Tomorrowland, like all the craziest.
No way, that's crazy. That's so tight. I love the Crew girls so much, man.
They're the best. They really are. And then, you know, I wound up knowing somebody in Keizo's camp, and for his birthday at the Palladium, they were like, Sum 41's his favorite band. Would you and Derek come and play with him? And it's the first time he ever had a live drummer on stage, and he kept me on stage to play a couple of his songs. And he was like, dude, like, this is so rad. Like, one day I'm going to put together like a live show with live musicians. And I was like, just keep me posted. And me and his management.
Yeah. And you guys you guys like, because the live band thing in electronic music had been done, but in a more like, not with music like Hayden's, you know, like you guys really broke the mold for like, you can do this with aggressive music. Like,
absolutely. And it was just all drums. It was all drummers, drummers playing, you know, from found shit to marching drums out in the audience. I mean, I sat in his apartment, you know, his apartment with him, and we literally built that whole show. When are we going to have the drummers? What moments? When am I going to come? You know, it was really cool. And we took that around the States and Canada, and then did Coachella, which was insane.
That's so tight, man. All right, I don't want to keep going down these tangents with you. I'm going to keep you here forever. One final question just before you go, because this just feels like a good one from my buddy Taco. He asked, and you know, this is a question that I feel like would be a little bit easier for me to answer, or I wouldn't have as cool of an answer, but you drum for a full, how long was the Sum 41 show? It's like 2 hours, right?
On headliners, we played between an hour and a half to 2 hours, because there's such a deep catalog. And
dude, it was nuts. I was like, yo, these guys have to be done soon, but also they haven't played these 7 songs. And then you just kept going.
So in America, I'm sure you know, has a shorter attention span. Yeah. So we started that tour cycle that you saw us on. We were playing like almost 2 hours a night, and we had to cut it back to like an hour and a half. Because it was a bit too long for America. But then we went to Europe, we were doing almost an hour and 45. And maybe there's like, you know, pieces and like with me, there's like maybe 3 slower songs, but the rest of the set is just on fucking stun. That's why when I got in this band, I completely changed my lifestyle. I finally realized like, holy shit, like I'm like an athlete. And I started consulting with athletes, and Laird Hamilton, who's a big wave legendary surfer, and his wife, Gabby Reese, who's an Olympic volleyball player, they changed my life. They took me in.
Wow.
And literally supplements, health, working out, learning how to work out in a pool, underwater, like not being able to breathe. And like, they actually, before this pandemic hit, I went on a retreat with them to Hawaii for 3 days. And it changed my life in so many ways, but they actually taught me how to fucking breathe. Something we do every minute, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I've I actually, on that same trip up to NorCal, we listened to a whole thing all about breathing and like how important like breathing properly is for like your life. I totally get it, man. It's crazy.
It's been amazing. So that's how I'm able to do Sum 41. I literally soak in ice baths. I mean, like, you know, have to get the right amount of sleep. After the show, I'm like, literally on the bus making a smoothie with all the stuff I need to get my body back. And then I'm in the bunk reading. Like, I'm not outraging. Like, those days are done. I had my fun, and now it's about playing the best show. And I want to be here as long as it can possibly be to see my kids do everything.
Preach, man.
In their lives,
100%.
Like,
so
that's my priority.
You kind of answered the question, but just more specifically, the question was actually what gets you fired up to get on the stage and keep the energy up all night. So you answered the crowds. Yeah. I mean, that was going to be my answer too. I didn't know if you had some crazy ritual where you, I don't know, like you like some Ozzy Osbourne shit. You like,
oh no, totally.
Bite the neck of a bat and like suck out the blood. And
not at all. I'm in the dressing room and I literally, get pumped up with tunes and just, working out, and I have a practice kit in the dressing room and like all that. But honestly, the second the lights go down and I hear that audience roar, it's the best drug in the world. It's like that feeling and just how insane.
There's not a bigger rush of endorphins really than that, for sure.
No. And those kids just go that hard the entire show that, like, if I'm tired, if my, I'm having a sore, a muscle issue or something like that, like, they carry us through that show because they go so hard. And Sum 41 audiences there's no difference to me with the EDM crowds. They're both that fucking nuts. Like, when I was touring with Keizo, like, we would drop Fat Lip in the middle of the set, and like kids are moshing and crowd surfing and jumping off the stage. And it was like, if that same energy is there, that's why it'd be so hard for me to ever play with a really chill, like, artist, because to not feel that energy,
I feel
it's like
dude.
Something that it's so important. Like, obviously, like, one day I'd love to just fucking literally play for Jay-Z and just play the dopest, just feel good kick, snare, and hat, make everybody bop. But also for me, it's like, I feel like it's when you guys are in the DJ booth and you're just looking at 100,000 people going nuts to where you're playing. It's the same thing for me as a drummer. It's all about the beat. So that to me is like the closest thing to, I call it like playing God, man, when it's like, holy fuck, these 100,000 people are going nuts because of this beat. Like, that's the craziest shit to me ever. That's what makes me, that's the inspiration and why I do this every day. It's like, it's just such an incredible feeling of making people feel like that.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, at least for me, and I'm sure it was the same for you growing up, you're like, man, like, I can't imagine what it'd be like to be on that stage and just look out at all those people. And like, normally in life, when you bake things up like that, it never really like reaches that same, expectation that you have set in your mind. But I feel like for going out on stage, playing a show, and it literally could be as little as 50 people, 20 people, whatever, all the way up to 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, the act of you doing something on stage that people are reacting to in a positive way, like, it's just whatever I cooked up in my head, like, it exceeded those expectations. And then, like, once you finally get there, you're like, oh, now I need to do it more. It needs to get bigger. It needs to get better. It needs to get crazier.
Totally.
And like, yeah. I mean, I don't party or do anything like that anymore. But like, that is the drug, right? It's just like
nothing will beat that. Nothing. Yeah. It's just, that is the ultimate. In every way, the most satisfying why we do it. Yes, I love the creating it in the studio and all that stuff and having that creative time and all that, but like, there's just nothing about it. And like, I've been in writing the new tunes now, I've been literally thinking about, like, how is this going to react in a festival? Like, how's this, going to translate? And I've been really thinking about that in the songwriting, because, I want to have just these amazing live show experiences and just have that energy nonstop.
Yeah, man. Well, I think you're well on your way. I'm super excited for everyone to get to hear this stuff. Is there anything that we haven't touched on? I feel like we've talked for quite a long time. So, but if there's anything I forget to mention, if there's anything you want to say, either to the kids in the chat or when it comes out as a podcast to the people around the world, whatever it is, if there's anything else, left in the tank.
they're free to hit me up too. DM me, anything, comments. I'll answer anything we didn't get to.
What are all your social handles? It's, I know on Twitter today, it took me a second to find it. It's Zummo.
Yeah, because I literally was so naive when I set up Twitter that I don't know why it was Zummo and not Frank Zummo, but
everything else is Frank Zummo though, yeah? Like at Frank Zummo or / Frank Zummo, I think. Uh-oh. I think we lost him. Frank!
Frank! Come back to us.
Oh no. Tap the screen. I don't think that's gonna work. He went into the deep end for sure. Oh. Alright, he left. Maybe he's gonna come back. Okay. Well, we'll see if he comes back. We'll give him a second. Let's see if he can get back in. Waiting to see if Frank says something. I guess I can play some music for you guys while we wait. Oh wait, he's back. He's back. Wait.
All right, I'm muted. Bye. It failed us at the end.
It's cool. You're back. Fishy, thanks for the raid, buddy. Nice to see you. We are currently actually just about to wrap up with Frank Zummo of Street Drum Corps, Sum 41, and now it's just Frank Zummo, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just yourself as an artist. He's putting out an EP on Bite This, the record label, at the end of September. I'm super stoked for all of you guys to hear it. So yeah, we were just trying to wrap up. I was trying to we were trying to figure out what your socials were, right? It's Zummo on Twitter, and then everything else is Frank Zummo. Right?
Yeah, Facebook I think is Frank Zummo Music. SoundCloud is like Frank-Zummo, but like it'll all.
Oh, they're all different. You know what? When we post this, I'll make sure that all your socials are all in it. Everyone will be able to, as long as you search Frank Zummo, I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. It's a pretty it's not the most regular name.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other Zummos doing music really.
Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, I mean, I've kept you for way longer than you needed to. Thank you for hanging out and
no worries, man.
Indulging and going down the rabbit hole with me. Yeah, man, it was fucking sick.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for everybody just tuning in. And I can't wait for everybody to hear it. And like, I think your fans are really gonna really enjoy it. I mean, especially like hearing your newest release, Wildlife. Like, I think that, that vibe isn't too far off from like a Holy Ghost or something like that, like
totally,
I feel
dude.
like
Yeah.
your fans are gonna, totally dig it. So I'm stoked to just have, your family check it out.
Hell yeah, man. I think they're going to like it a lot. All right. Everyone in the chat is saying, bye, Frank. We're going to miss you. We'll have more of Frank on the stream. When it gets closer to the release time, we're going to play some of the music, some teasers of the music video and whatnot. But until then, everyone say bye. And yeah, we'll see you again soon, man.
Much love, everybody. Thank you.
All right, guys, that is it for In the Tank this week. I hope you guys had a lot of fun listening to Frank's story. I hope you learned a lot. I'm super honored to get to work with someone like Frank. I can't wait to see what we do next. I hope that he finds nothing but success in his new solo career. And I can't wait to see him on stage again as Sum 41 also. If you enjoyed listening to Frank, if you want to check out his music, make sure you go check out his EP, It's My War, which came out on my label, Bite This. Just type in Frank Zummo, It's My War. You'll be able to find it just about anywhere. And if you enjoyed the episode, why don't you let me know? If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment down below or subscribe, hit the bell. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I'm still not good at this whole YouTube thing. And if you're listening to it on a podcast, why don't you shoot me a tweet? Use the hashtag #InTheTank. Tell me what you think. Until next time, I hope you guys have a good day, good week, good month. Stay beautiful, stay positive, stay healthy. I'll see you next time. Much love. Peace.